Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going through and kind of demoing a couple more pieces of gear that I've created. The first one is a VCO mono synth, and the second is this Midi keyboard right here. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. We'll start with the VCO mono synth, and this synth is a very basic mono synth. And the reason why I wanted to demo it on my channel is because it is the first synth that I've created that adheres to the volt per octave standard in terms of tuning. So we'll start here on the left. So it's got a master pitch control. So it's got a pretty wide range, and I wanted that specifically just so that it could be used for both bass and for leads and such. It's got two different wave shapes. So the one that you are hearing is the saw wave. And then it's got a square wave. And the square wave has pulse width modulation. I was pretty happy with how that turned out. I think that sounds pretty nice. So moving on to the envelope section. This envelope is very basic. It's probably more basic than the standard envelope would be on a mono synth. So it's got a sustain switch, so that's either toggled on or off. When it's on, the note will hold for as long as a note is being pressed. When it is off, then the note will go to the decay. It'll hold for as long as the decay determines. Then there's the attack knob, which just changes the attack or the attack time, or the amount of time it takes for the sound to reach its full volume. And that only works when the sustain is enabled. So yeah, with this envelope, it's a very simple envelope, but it does have a wide range of uses. It can get, you can dial in some nice short snappy sounds like we heard, and then also kind of the longer legato type sounds. Anyway, so moving on to the LFO. LFOs on mono synths a lot of the times are tied or are, I guess, used to modulate either the pitch or the filter. And sometimes it can even be connected to other things as well. With this synth, it simply affects the pitch. But it can be used very, it can sound really nice. It can add nice vibrato to the tone. So let's go ahead and dial that in. So that's a good vibrato sound, pretty classic sounding. So yeah, when I designed this LFO, I wanted the depth to be able to be increased significantly beyond like a vibrato setting, so you can get significantly less musical sounds like this. So yeah, we get some nice laser beam sounds with the depth all the way up. And then the rate knob, the LFO rate, it goes a little bit up into the audio range, which allows for some nice kind of frequency modulation or FM synthesis sounds. So that sounds pretty dirty, and I mean, it just gets even more dirtier the more the depth goes up. That also sounds nice on bass sounds. Just makes the bass a little dirtier. So yeah, that is the LFO. Has some nice uses to it. And then moving right along, so this last section is really simple. It's a low pass filter and then just a volume control. So the low pass filter, it's a very basic single pole passive low pass filter. So nothing crazy about it, but I think it works well with the sounds. Especially for kind of getting more subby bass sounds. So yeah, that is the VCO mono synth in a nutshell. And I'll tip it up here so that we can see the back. So it's got a stereo 3.5 millimeter audio output, and I just wanted to make it stereo just so it, it's good for use with headphones, things like that. This next port is the control voltage input, and then this one right next to it is the gate input. And this box down here, this I built after I built the synth, and this is simply a Midi to CV or control voltage converter. I could have designed this to, implemented like all of the electronics in here to make it so that this has a Midi in port. I just didn't at the time, and so after I was done with the design, I figured I would just make this just quickly in addition to it. In the future, I might, combine these two, so it's a little smaller, more a better kind of, better form there. As of now, I really like having this box because it acts as a really nice synth stand. This is just a little bit elevated above the keyboard, and so kind of, I don't know, I like having it. So yeah, that is the VCO mono synth. And I do want to add one quick note with this. I was inspired by the YouTuber Moritz Klein. I'm going to link his videos down in the description. He has a series on how to design and build a voltage controlled oscillator. And that really helped me design this synth so that it adhered to the volt per octave standard. So if you want, go check out his videos. If you're looking to build something like this, those tutorials really helped me in kind of building this, and I integrated, parts of what he of what he did in this design. All right, so moving right along, this is the Midi keyboard that I have designed and I built, and it's super bare bones, super basic, but I designed it for a very specific reason. I found that there were no Midi keyboards out there that had this size, you know, that were this small, that also had a 5-pin Midi output. And that was just something that I wanted for so long, even before I started designing instruments. Because a lot of pieces of gear, like, I guess, you know, kind of like this one doesn't have a 5-pin Midi input integrated into it yet. But lots of little synths do. And I wanted something that would be able to control those without having to be routed through a computer. So that's why I designed this, and it's very simple, just a little over an octave. You can change octaves right here with this knob. So there's, you know, you can go from the lowest octave up 7 octaves from there. These components right here control an arpeggiator function on the keyboard. And I'll demonstrate that real fast. So this knob is the rate of the arpeggiator, and then when this is toggled in, the arpeggiator is engaged. So it's nice and slow down there at the far left, but then it gets significantly faster. And I really like how fast that gets. It starts to get into kind of video game chiptune territory, which I think sounds really good. One more thing about the Midi keyboard is that it is Arduino based. So I'll link the code that I used to program it down in the description as well, along with any circuits that I used to design it. But yeah, so that is the VCO mono synth and the Midi keyboard that I have built. Thanks so much for watching.